Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here, and it's time for this week's weekly adventures. So we have a 1.5, a 3, and a 3.5 star adventure. For the 1.5, we have when any player summons a unit that is already in play, grant it 1/1. Now this is going to be especially good for a couple of decks, specifically Kindred, because every round you're summoning another prey, and since you already will have a prey on the board, other than the first round, all the cards you summon after that first prey, or all the prey you summon, will have that additional 1/1. So I think Kindred will be probably the best for this. And then there will also be an interesting play with Nico. If you're using the Grand General's counterplan on Nico, when you disguise her, the Grand General's counterplan will create a copy of the card she's disguised as instead of the champion spell. So this lets you keep playing that same card every single round, and so that will work out perfectly for this power. It'll be a bit less consistent, but this also will probably be decent for the Poro King, as quite often you end up playing the same Poros over and over again. Now, important to note, this says summon a unit that's already in play, so I believe that means the unit or the card is going to have to be on the board, so it's not just keep playing the same unit over and over again. It has to actually be on the board for you to get the benefit from this. In general, though, it should be a pretty easy adventure. It's the easiest one at 1.5, so really you can play whatever champion you want, and you should be fine. For the 3-star, we have round start all players spawn 1. This will obviously be good for Alawi. And we have hemorrhage, round end, deal 1 to the player's nexus for each unit the foe has. So if you want to counter this power, you either want to get some decks with sustain. So some decks that are good with that would be like Aatrox or Gwen. There are several others, but those are some that would be quite good at that. Also Kayn. But you also want to be going with decks that also have a good amount of removal. So Jhin or Annie would do well at being able to clear the enemy board. One other thing to mention with the spawn 1, this is also probably great for Nidalee. For Nidalee, you always want to be having at least some unit on the board for you to be able to transform with your clever camouflage to get from your 2-star. So making sure you always at least have a tentacle that's going to be summoned will be nice, so you always have a target for that spell. But unless you're playing Alawi or potentially Nidalee, I would probably focus on the hemorrhage power and try to just go for a deck that has some sustain or ones that has a good amount of removal to take out enemy targets so that they don't stack up and deal too much damage to your nexus. Alright, for the last power, we have Tranquil Minds. Each round, the player's first Ionian card costs 1 less, and then Withstand. Round start, grant the foe's units 1 power, or not 1 power, 1 health, and then the Vicious Enemy. So for some of the Ionian decks, we have Set, Master Yi, and Lee Sin. I personally go with either Master Yi or Set. Both are pretty strong decks. One thing to note with Master Yi, he is a 3-cost card, so using this power, you could play him on the first turn, since you'd be able to reduce his cost down to a 2-cost, so that would be fairly helpful. And then for Set, it is a scaling deck, so having a bit of cost reduction would also help him out a good amount. Lee Sin is a little bit too inconsistent for me, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend him, but if you really like Lee Sin, go for it. For the Withstand, really not a big deal. You just want to try to make sure the enemy doesn't have units on the board for too long. So again, some removal will be decent for trying to get rid of them, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a priority as it was for the other adventure. But it is something you should be aware of. Try to just make sure the enemy doesn't have too many units on the board that are being stacked up every single round from this power. In general, though, the powers for this week, or at least for the most difficult one, are fairly straightforward. So either play your favorite Ionia deck, or just play whatever deck you are best with. I know a lot of people have their own personal favorites. A lot of people choose the S-tier champions, but I know some people have their own just favorite champion. I know one individual, their favorite champion was Leona, and they used that for all of the adventures, which I found was quite interesting. So yeah, for this one, either go with your favorite Ionia deck, or just choose your best champion, and you should be fine. That's it for this weekly. It is awesome seeing some new powers. It is sad that that normally happens for the lowest adventure where it really doesn't matter as much. Let me know what you think of this week though down in the comments down below. I know the last weeklies were quite difficult for a lot of individuals, so definitely let me know what experience you're having with these weeklies. If you enjoy these videos, definitely like and subscribe. I hope you all have a great day.